Hello internets, Jesus loves you. My name's Cody and this is the Christian News Show we do on Tuesdays and Thursdays with GeeksUnderGrace.com. And the first story that I want to talk about today is about the Babylon Bee. If you have a lot of Christian friends on Facebook, you have probably seen this website around. They're like the Christian version of The Onion and it's fantastic. But in a recent article, they may have crossed a line, angering a ton of people with their article on the recently deceased Jan Crouch. See, Jan Crouch was a co-founder of the TV channel TBN, and they're very well known for the prosperity gospel and that whole thing where you pray things into existence by saying that they already exist. Like you say in the Lord's name, I am rich, and then sooner or later you're supposed to become rich. I think it's supposed to be more of a mindset thing. And so Babylon Bee, they make fun of this, saying their prosperity preachers are amazed that she died because she had so much faith that nothing bad should have happened to her. Basically, because a lot of these preachers will preach that God's children should be wealthy and healthy, and therefore, if she's one of God's children, she shouldn't have died. So it sounds stupid, but that's what satire is. But a lot of people are saying this is incredibly offensive. You should not be making fun of someone who just died. And even though I don't believe in the prosperity gospel or anything surrounding that type of theology, I do have to agree that it is kind of offensive. And I don't think it's the end of the world. I don't think that we should be trying to defame Babylon Bee, because they've never tried to be super offensive in the past. I think they told an incredibly stupid joke in very terrible taste. Wouldn't hurt them to apologize to the masses, but I think after that we could move on. And maybe think before you post things. And then moving on to our next story, it is about a Christian publisher, but I think it has more to do with publishing in general. Send the Light Distribution, or STL, is one of the biggest Christian publishing distributors out there, or at least it was. They're actually going out of business soon, a lot to do probably with the fact that they were heavily partnered with the Family Christian Bookstore, which just filed for bankruptcy. But it means that 150 of 500 vendors will have to find a new place to get this content. Something I found kind of interesting they threw in here was a study just saying that Christian fiction is definitely going downward, but sales are still pretty high for Christian nonfiction and for Bibles. The president of STL said, it's stuff like Amazon Prime that are doing this bigger and better, that are putting these other businesses out. And I mean, that totally makes sense. All of these sites right now are trying to kind of monopolize everything. I just saw on Facebook the other day that they had something called like Quick Article or something, but you could read the article in Facebook app, so that it wasn't going and sending out to a browser. Even the Facebook browser, this is separate. So they're trying to make it so you don't even go to news sites anymore. But when you think of like the top 5 websites out there in the entire world, Facebook, YouTube, Google, they're all trying to be as encompassing as possible so that you stay on their site at all times. Amazon wants to be the one-stop shop for you to buy anything. And so it makes sense that Christian distributors like this are getting pushed out, but that's not always a good thing. You think about Amazon, what happens when they decide they don't want to sell Christian products anymore, or anything for that matter? Once they stop selling that and they've gotten rid of all the other competition, there's nobody to make that stuff. And that's nothing to really do with Christianity. That's a free market thing. Like, competition is good, but the internet is beating it out. And the final story of the day for you guys, we always got to get real at the end of the day. The world population is over 7 billion, so I mean, that's a lot. But according to a new report, over 46 million people still live in slavery. And so I know when you put those together, 46 million doesn't seem like a lot of people, but I want you to think of putting 46 people into a room, or 460 people, or 4,600 people into a room. When you do that, 46 million people becomes a lot. In fact, that number is 28% higher than it was a couple years ago. Now, places like North Korea, they obviously hit these numbers pretty hard. In fact, 4% of North Korea's entire population are slaves, and those are labor camps. So when you think of slaves, you usually think of people working on farms and stuff. That kind of slavery is happening in North Korea still today. I know forced labor is still a bigger deal than I think most of us realize. Sex trafficking is also huge. So I always love to do this when I hear about slavery. I try to talk about it as much as possible so people know, because I don't think people realize. But I also like to bring up Love 146. They are a nonprofit here in the United States. They focus on slavery here in the United States, which is a big deal. It's illegal in most of the world, but 46 million people are still slaves. And so Love 146, they fight against that. So if you want to support them, you definitely should. They're focused mostly on female sex trafficking. They fight it working with authorities, trying to make stings happen. They have people who literally go undercover to go and free people. So definitely go check them out. I'm going to end the show there. But the question of the day goes back to our first story, the Babylon Bee. Should there be a line for satire? Do you think that there is a line? Do you think that satire, I mean, it's meant to kind of offend people and be a joke? What do you have to say about it? I want to know what you guys have to say, so please leave a comment in the comment section down below. I will answer all of your guys' comments on Friday, tomorrow, so that's exciting. Make sure you check out geeksundergrace.com for more geeky content. My name's Cody Armour, bringing you Christian news in a not-so-boring kind of way every Tuesday and Thursday. I tried to be in, like, low voice. I don't know what that was. In closing, let the haters hate, let the Christians pray, and to everybody like, subscribe. I will see you later, and God bless.